How's it going, guys and girls? Hope you guys are having a great week. So welcome to a new series. Every month I want to upload a podcast where myself and a group of friends and perhaps even some of my subscribers will get together and talk about a particular topic that is gaming related that we feel passionate about. So this topic, which I'm going to obviously show for you guys, was actually captured quite a couple of months ago when I got together with my friends and we started to talk about YouTubers and YouTube generally as a vehicle for entertainment. What follows is just a general discussion with me and my friends. So the audio is not 100%, but you can hear it clearly. In the background there is some gameplay from the new Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which I'm working on the review. I have now finished the game and I am working on the review at the moment, and occasionally, as we mention particular YouTubers, I will show a little bit of footage and we'll put a link to their YouTube channels in the comment section below for you guys to investigate. So anyway, I hope you guys find this podcast interesting. Let me know what you guys think of it, what you guys think of the topic, and of course if there's any particular themes or topics that you'd like for us to cover in the future, then please put that in the comment section below as well. All right, enjoy guys, and I'll be back again later. Bye guys. So that brings us quite nicely into our second topic that we wanted to talk about today, and this one is kind of one that's a little close to my heart because obviously I am a YouTuber. So I wanted to talk about YouTubers that we respect and why, and YouTubers that we don't respect and why, and what are our general opinions on YouTubers and what they do, and if they're a positive force
there's one that
in video games or a negative force.
There's one that annoys the living shit out of me. She's always constantly sort of talking about these games.
A troller.
I am a troll, yeah.
Would that be N7 Kate?
Oh,
you've heard of her.
Such a bitch. She's such a hate. She's not professional at all. Her opinions are a jack shit.
She loves The Witcher way too much.
There's no such thing as loving The Witcher way too much.
She refuses to sell out. I mean, God, get over it already.
Yeah.
That brings us to an interesting point, though, which is YouTubers that sell out. So
we've already had the topic of PewDiePie been brought up. It's certainly a topic that's out there. People do have the need to sell out. And I say the need to sell out. The moment you decide that you are going to do things like YouTubing for a living, that your life is going to depend on your income, that goes, you need to sell out. Yeah. I don't care what people say. You say, oh, you're not remaining pure to your cause. The fact of the matter is, we live in a supply and demand society. If you have to do what it takes to make sure that your channel is getting those hits, and what your actions do mean that it takes you away from what your goal wanted to be as an individual when you initially started, no matter how pure your intentions, if you can do it at the end of the day with a smile on your face, then I
feel very differently about that.
I just see that it's a necessity if you want to do it for a living. How you get that living is an entirely different matter. Now, again, Sam has mentioned PewDiePie and how he ruined The Last Guardian for him.
What is everybody's opinion on PewDiePie as a YouTuber?
I mean, like for me personally, I think like when I first started watching PewDiePie and like his kind of just running through gameplay and stuff on like indie games and like horror games and stuff, it was generally kind of intriguing, and just to watch that kind of that experience. I never watched that on like YouTube and stuff before, so for me it was like, oh, and then it actually enticed me to play those particular games. But then for me personally, and obviously if everyone's got a different experience, he seemed to kind of stem away from that initial point from when I initially saw him, and I think Dante kind of introduced me to PewDiePie anyway. I think you showed me a clip of it.
It was a random video, because the stuff he was coming out with at the time was funny, as he's running through a game where he's constantly dying, and it was a difficult one and stuff like that. It was entertaining to watch. These days, or later on, his channel became something else.
Clickbaiting.
Yeah, and with some channel owners, when they start getting clickbaity and the thumbnails are like, oh, promising this and that, or just straight out lying to you or trolling you and getting you to just look at the video to activate the advert and get revenue. At that point, I just take them off the subscribe list. It's like, you've failed me.
I think as a YouTuber, because obviously I've got quite strong opinions on this, and I think popular YouTubers that I'm nowhere near like PewDiePie, like he's got millions of subscribers and everything. I think the bigger you are, the more responsibility you have to take as a YouTuber. So for example, PewDiePie is in a position where he can be a force for good. So he can showcase indie titles, indie games that don't have the backing and the revenue of big publishers like Activision and EA. He can showcase them so that gamers can see them and perhaps support them. Obviously, not everybody, but some people might, listen to his opinions on games, and that could inform whether or not they might play or buy or spend their hard-earned cash. So I think as a YouTuber, myself, the way I look at my channel, it's sharing my passion for games, but I also feel like, to a degree, what I do when I do a video game review, Dante will know this, it takes me a long time because I have to play 100% of that game. I have to write a script. I want to make sure my review is fair, that it's balanced, that it's not clickbaity. It's about giving information. It's about giving informed information so people can use that effectively. So I feel to a degree, some YouTubers almost provide a service, right, in what they do. So when I see, and I can understand why, I get what you're saying, Fish, as to why people sell out and why people have to make a living. But I think once you get to a particular
there's a level of how you sell out as well, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sell out just so that you're making a living and you're not harming anyone else by doing so, then fine. And we're openly criticising PewDiePie here on what is going to be put out to the internet, so we are all going to be crucified by his swarms of minions. The fact is, he's taken the Jeremy Clarkson approach. I mean, for those of you who aren't English, Jeremy Clarkson hosted Top Gear, a delightful car show. It's now the Grand Tour on Amazon Prime, and this is a man who was notorious for saying or doing something so horribly controversial to get a load of press. Conveniently, right as he was releasing a new book. So everybody was talking about Jeremy Clarkson and his new book. And it didn't matter the fact that he'd just been a raging asshole. Everybody was talking about his new book as well, which was subsequently coming out at the same time. That is a shitload of free advertising built out of controversy. Now, as well as PewDiePie making his delightfully racial slur, which was, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot myself for a moment. I'm sorry, what? You forgot not to be racist? How bad of you? The fact is, this is a guy who now has a following where he can do no wrong. Whether he did it because that's genuinely who he is, or whether he did it to attract attention, this is where we're coming down the category you said. It's you either use your position as a sellout to carry on doing what you want to do and express your interest. Yeah, you might have to do things you don't want to do, but ultimately you can still direct it in a direction you want. Or you can just be completely a self-indulgent arse and do what you want to do and do only what you want to do and don't give a damn about the ramifications of what you do. Get off the PewDiePie topic as well. The YouTuber JonTron, who was very, very successful for a good number of years, and someone who I had a lot of time for, in the last 2 or 3 quarters has lost a lot of following on YouTube for expressing his personal opinion on what have been very sensitive topics on, again, we're in a time now where the American government has kind of gone absolutely crazy, and he has very much come down on the conservative side of the American government political view, and people have lost it with him. He's had he's had YouTube followers unsubscribing him left, right, and centre. He was doing a voiceover in ukulele.
All right. Okay.
And he was very much contacted after all this came out, and was asked by the developers of ukulele. I say asked. He was told that his voiceover wouldn't be used anymore, and that they were distancing themselves from any connection to him. So
I think that's where as well, like, because we were talking about PewDiePie and other things, because if those select YouTubers are being racist or using for clickbaiting or particular political opinions which are controversial and perhaps not PC, then unfortunately sometimes that can tar all YouTubers in that way. So you get a lot of developers basically that attack YouTubers. No, it's not a real job. How dare you do this? How dare you say this about my game or whatever? And then you've got things like the advertisers, the marketing companies that were pulling out on YouTube, basically. And then you had this whole adpocalypse where basically YouTube were flagging any videos that had potentially controversial content, most of which were video game related. Anything that had guns, swearing, violence. That's most video games. So it meant that you couldn't monetize your videos, you couldn't earn any income, and that was really damaging smaller YouTubers. So the problem is that because of these big YouTubers not being responsible with their position and realizing their potential and the effect that they can have,
the impact they have,
it does kind of tar all YouTubers with the same brush, unfortunately. And I think, that is a massive, massive problem. In terms of me, like what YouTubers I tend to watch, I mean, if we look at things like AngryJoe, for example, there's so much hate on his channel at the moment. And there are so many entitled subscribers that, yes, they have a valid opinion, but if he doesn't upload a video game review every week, and if he uploads anything that's not a video game review, they just go batshit crazy and they attack him. And the main reason I love AngryJoe is because I really enjoy his reviews, and generally what he says, more times than not, has been pretty spot on for the reviews that he's done. I love the comedy in his reviews. I love the I think they're great. They're really funny, especially his Metal Gear Solid 5 review. If you haven't seen it, it was just absolutely hilarious. It was so funny. So, but it's his living. So if he does stuff like movie reviews because they're easier for him and they take less time and he can make revenue on those as well in the meantime, then that's his choice to do.
Yeah, he's not a slave to the watch.
No, he's not selling out by not doing video game reviews all the time. But I see Joe as quite, he's one of those YouTube channels that I have quite a bit of respect for. I also have there's a new UK YouTube channel, if you haven't seen it, which is called Pretty Good Gaming, which for me is one of the up and coming video game news channels. And they're a group of UK guys and they do news opinion videos on things, and they are spot on. They're really, really good, and I will watch them for news and opinion videos, and I find them really interesting, really informative. They're not, there is some degree of bias, but they're not biased. Usually it's quite valid what they're saying.
Speaking on the AngryJoe example, so as a YouTuber yourself, if for example in a couple of years time you decided that you kind of wanted to branch out and do something a bit different. So say, for example, you stopped doing a little bit of the Let's Plays and you were going more into plot deconstructions and whatnot of certain games, but no one liked that.
Yeah.
But it's something that you felt passionate about.
Yeah.
Where is the difference there when people start getting vilified for doing it? I understand that he gets paid to do it, and I understand that if someone is passionate about something, sometimes that passion might change. So where does it become where the person feels entitled that they have to have content their way? I mean, if you look at TV media, I get it. TV media is an example of, and you have a TV show that comes out, people will like it or hate it for what it is, and if they jump the shark too much, people will start watching. And with YouTube, because it's kind of it's their own version of what TV shows are, you don't have to wait months on end for new content to come out because they're making it specifically for you. So if you then suddenly have something come out that you're not happy with, Where's the line drawn where you feel that you have to be that you're entitled to say, you know what, I don't want this, get the fuck away from it.
But this is the internet.
Yeah.
You do realise this. This is the problem with the internet.
Just don't watch it.
That it's it's a fact that people want what they want.
When they want it.
When they want it, and they will get it when they want it and how they want it. And I feel I do feel sympathy for anyone who's a YouTuber at the moment who feels like a sense of identity crisis or just want to branch out, because the amount of difficulty they might have, or the amount of worry when it comes to fans who have joined them at the beginning, who have watched them and have supported them in terms of building up the channel they were doing, and then if they start to branch out slightly, some of the fans might feel like betrayed or feel they're not getting what they subscribe for. I get it, especially if they're doing Patreons or they're doing, they're paying for something that they feel, but it feels very frustrating, because in the day, if you look at media in like TV shows, for example, how many times have TV shows changed and evolved as time has gone on? Because they've had to grow or change to keep momentum or get new people to join up and watch their programs. If you're trying to make an example here, there was a YouTuber I watched called Blunty, and he's great for being, as his namesake, blunt about certain things that he's passionate about. But he's great in terms of talking about new media coming out in terms of phones, photography, technology, and he gets very passionate. But the amount of grief he must get all the time because people are expecting him to do certain things, I can only imagine.
Okay, I've got a good response to that. So I get what you're saying. Obviously, if people are paying for something, it's a service they're paying for, they expect so much. When you relate it to TV shows are a creative medium. YouTube is the same. It's somebody creating something that they're passionate about, whether it's a video game review, a let's play, a story so far video, whatever it might be. It would be completely unacceptable for somebody who perhaps subscribes to Netflix to contact that director or that writer and say, I don't like the way your storyline's going. I don't like the content you're bringing out. I want you to do only that. So you only do horror, or you only do
BBC
this.
Points of view.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but it's completely unacceptable for someone to do that to a TV show that is a creative medium.
But they still do it for TV shows.
Yeah, they do. But if you don't like it, don't watch it.
But every time a new Doctor, for example, every time a new Doctor is revealed, how much flack they get because he's too young, he's too old, he's a woman now. Or it just.
I think the answer there is you can't make everyone happy, and you have to accept that as a YouTuber.
I think with the internet, the difference between that and TV is. The internet, you have some sort of anonymity. No one knows who you are.
You also are given a free platform to voice your opinion for anyone to read.
No matter how douchey it is.
No matter how douchey, controversial it is. I mean, we spent a lot of negative energy, so let's bring some positive energy. Somebody talk about some YouTubers who aren't, already well established and aren't going to basically ruin all our YouTube careers before we carry them out.
I have a good example. If anyone
who do you love?
I watched these guys for a couple of years, and though they don't do it as frequently anymore, they still have a lot of impact in terms of Twitter and their own forums. If you haven't heard of them, they're called NoobTube, and they're two guys. Tobin and Yuzu Watanabe, they basically are two guys who sit in front of on a sofa or on a table with wine, and they love their wine, and they just talk about what games they're looking forward to every time something wants to come out. And if it wasn't for them, I would never have bought a PS3 and Uncharted 2. Purely because Tobin was a massive Naughty Dog sort of Uncharted fan, and he sold to me. Just two guys generally sitting and talking for about an hour about these new games coming out. And just because they had that passion there, the passion that they could talk about a gameplay or talk about the game itself to make me look interested and actually look it up and see what was worth it. And yeah, seriously, those two guys there who have their own lives to live and whatever else, fantastic bunch of lads. If you haven't seen his episodes, I would definitely recommend it. Just because, and again, they even have their own forums, so they push multiplayer gaming, so people who are generally interested in gaming or meeting up with other people like-minded and having a good time. It's great. Just these two guys, I generally enjoy listening to them for an hour, and they made me play Uncharted 2. I just enjoyed Yuzu's face palming and tears and depression when the new Sonic game came out. the dream. But yeah, seriously, those two guys, if you ever get a chance to watch anything that they do, especially when they do packs or Tokyo Game Show stuff, really, really good guys.
Sam, any?
I mean, for me, like I like we've obviously mentioned AngryJoe and stuff like that, and I find him highly entertaining. And obviously, is siding away from kind of the negative stuff that obviously some of the other end of his kind of channel around his views and how he feels about Nintendo and how they pull obviously his videos and stuff like that, which I think he did. Like, he did one on Mario Party 10 and stuff like that, and that got pulled. But just generally his view, I do take note, because it's kind of what everyone's thinking anyway. In sense, even Pod's for going back to Destiny, but even his kind of views on that and stuff as well.
He doesn't censor himself, which is what I like about him.
And some, like you say, and some YouTubers will protect themselves thinking, well, if you know, I'm getting certain benefits for promoting said games or anything like that, then they will shy away from those harsh truths. And that's particularly why I think he's a refreshing kind of perspective, really, when you do look, like, think, oh well, I want to check out a game. No, it is something I generally look at, and I failed to remember kind of the other guy's YouTube channel, but he's called James Baldino, and he does kind of a few like games reviews, and he does the whole, you know, watch this before you buy kind of games, and I do look at those, and he's a very kind of balanced view. But obviously, going back to AngryJoe, I do generally enjoy his videos.
I like his reviews.
I mean,
I was going to say,
Dante was going to say something.
The new one I found recently, a lass called the Humble Noob. Oh, she's hilarious. She just remixes bits of a gameplay of like playing Zelda Breath of the Wild or something like that, with just a voiceover and editing and stuff like that. It's just hilarious to watch. It's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but she's got a big following already. And I was just like, I've got to watch another one now. This is daft. This is brilliant. And it's just having a laugh. There's no like anything in the background. It just seems to be, I just want to do this for a laugh. Bring the boyfriend in now and then to do joint videos and stuff like that as well, and just play it, have fun and entertain people. I like it when they do that.
I think like with YouTube channels, you're always looking for something that's outside the norm. Right? You want something that's more refreshing, something to kind of initially grab you, and that's not just a reading off kind of a script kind of thing. You want to know a genuine kind of passion and feeling about it, which obviously, like you said, Edge, around obviously getting Uncharted 2 and stuff like that, you got to understand sort of how influential kind of YouTubers become now in terms of sort of within the gaming industry. If like you said, that obviously that's been a main kind of driver on you purchasing those games. So obviously you're looking for something a little bit different than sitting just on a normal screen and just saying, I like this game. You want that passion there. You want to see what you've got to give you a reason to care why you want to play those games. So yeah.
I'd say for myself, there are 3 YouTubers that are currently still on my radar that have been on. One of them is relatively new. One of them isn't games related, so that's a nice refreshing breath of air. And the third is games related and is possibly one of the earlier YouTubers going. So I mean, starting with the classics of that, from the Cinematica YouTube channel, we've got a delightful angry video game nerd. He's still going, and
I like him.
I think what I like is that although he's created this character, which is obviously I'd like to think he's not that over the top if you meet him in person, but he's got this delightful persona which he puts on to review not just games anymore, but retro movies too. His movie reviews somewhat step away from the angry video game nerd character. They're a lot more chilled. But he's a YouTuber who, despite making it big, hasn't appeared to have sold out. He still does what he does, which is play old NES games which are shit and continue to rant on how shit they are. But he's not beyond saying when a game is actually good as well. He doesn't make his entire stick all, I'm going to say that games are crap, games are all crap, all games are crap. You know what? Go back and agree with him. Go back and play some of the games you used to play as a kid, and they're not good. They're really not, but there's a certain rose-tinted glasses effect that everybody has. Moving on to the next one, which is, for me, a relatively new one. I never looked into how long it's been going. But Arlo, for those of you who haven't seen him already, is a delightfully blue, fuzzy Muppet. I'm sure I can't use that copyrighted word and probably wouldn't describe himself as a Muppet. But a delightful blue, fuzzy monster who reviews Nintendo games. He's very passionate about Nintendo games. And again, just the sheer character that YouTuber brings, there is a lot of love and a lot of time gone into making that. And expressing that. And the passion that just comes across in the videos that Arlo does stand out more than anything to me at the moment. And finally, taking it away from the games-orientated YouTubers, the delightful Colin Furze. I'm sure you've all seen him. This is the mentalist, who I believe is a plumber as a day job, and for the rest of the time uses his engineering abilities to make incredibly dangerous and yet entertaining implements. I've seen this man make hydraulic Wolverine claws. I've seen this man make an Iceman blast, that handheld flamethrowers. The man made a swing that was the axis of which was the same height as the guttering on his 2-story house. That's the axis. He then got in this swing and decided to swing around in it. The man built an apocalypse bunker in his back garden with a secret entrance through the shed. This bunker you could quite happily live in.
And survive the bomb.
To survive the zombie apocalypse, the bomb, whatever end of the world you want. And the man is just delightfully insane. My favourite thing was seeing when he put up on his Facebook channel, a year after he'd made this bunker, which I believe was funded by Sky for promotional Yumi and the Apocalypse TV show they did. A year after he made it, he very excitedly put on his Facebook, "Guys, I've got the planning permission, finally agreed for it." This thing is concreted into this garden. Whether or not he got planning permission for it, it ain't going anywhere now. It's there. It's done. It's not. It's a thing, guys. It's not getting rid of. And this is a man who's clearly got a passion for the eccentric things in life. This is a man who's made a hover bike. This is a man who made a thermite launcher. The less said about this man and his love for explosives, how he's not turned on a UK watch list for some kind of anti-terror laws, I've no idea, because the amount of fireworks this man purchases, whenever he gets a certain number of subscribers, he does something incredibly elaborate with fireworks. One of my favourite was he made a suit of armour and stood in the middle of about 1,000, maybe 4,000 fireworks, which he had set off around him. A Roman candle firework pointing at his crotch as he stands in the suit of armour he's made. The man is crazy, and I can't thank him enough for just bringing that amount of craziness into everyday life and making people smile for it. Yeah. That is a guy, he knows what he is and he just runs with it.
I think the common thread then we've got from everyone then is passion.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
I think that's the key thing that we look for in any good YouTuber, really. Right then, so I think that brings us quite nicely to the end of that topic. So there you have it, guys. That is the end of my podcast for October. I hope you guys found it interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion that happened. I just want to say, of course, a massive thank you to my friends. So thank you, Edge, Fish, Sam, and of course Dante, for agreeing to take part in the podcast and just for contributing some really interesting examples and ideas. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found it interesting. I hope you guys learned about some new YouTubers that you hadn't found out about before. I certainly know that I did, and I really enjoyed this discussion, and I hope it came across in the podcast. So let me know what you guys think about this format, what you generally think of the podcast, and if you have any ideas for future topics that you would like for us to cover. If you would like to get involved in the podcast, then please drop me a message to let me know, and of course I'd be more than happy to discuss that with you and hopefully arrange something in the not too distant future. Anyway, hope you guys are having a great week. Take care, and as always, happy gaming. Bye, guys.